Hello, hello. How's everybody doing? Welcome to Sunday in the Rockies, where it is a nice 48 degrees and the snow is slowly but surely starting to melt. So, hope everyone had a really good weekend. Hope everybody's ready to start the week. We definitely are. Even with all this cold and all this snow that's been going on, it is still, regardless, seed starting weather. And we have actually started quite a few seeds. A lot of ours are going to be for medicinal purposes that we've started so far. We've actually done echinacea. We've done, let's see, hi.
Hi. We've done feverfew, yarrow.
You can scooch over if you want.
You want me to scooch over?
Yeah.
Oh.
Hi.
And let's see, more echinacea. Oh, you already said echinacea.
Mm-hmm.
And a bunch of Vera lavender, which we've grown other lavender before, the common style lavender, but the Vera lavender is interesting because it's on one stem and it has very big blooms.
And it's like, is it like a darker purple or is it a lighter?
It's a darker purple.
Okay. So I wonder if that means the flavor's more intense.
We're going to try.
Yeah. So we are actually doing tea talk today. We actually have our tea ready to go. Tink. Christa is drinking it's like a peppermint and spearmint type tea.
Mm-hmm.
I got one it's a black tea that's got ginger and peach to it. So, but it kind of segues into what we're going to be doing this year that we wanted to come on and talk about, and that is our tea garden. So we actually have a spot in our backyard right now that basically is like juniper trees that are sitting out there. If you've watched some of our videos before, you've probably seen those 3 trees out there. They're just kind of pointless. They don't really do anything. I feel like they've been kind of dying back the past couple of years. So
we decided to make everything in our garden useful, have a use.
Absolutely.
With the exception of one thing, which is snapdragons.
Yes.
I love snapdragons.
Yes, she loves her snapdragons. PH Homestead, how are you today? I hope everything's going well. Upstate New York.
Oh goodness, how's the weather up there?
I bet it was snowing by the foot.
Yeah, really.
So, yeah, we're going to be doing that whole area back there just as a tea garden. So, some of the things, like we said, we've already started from seed. We actually had a couple that have already sprouted. It only took 3 days for these seeds to get going. So, hello, Never Enough Time. How are you? To Family Homestead, thank you so much for your seeds, by the way. Greatly appreciate it.
I especially like the sunflowers. I can't wait to grow those sunflowers.
Yeah, we're definitely excited about those sunflowers. That's going to be awesome. So, and Never Enough Time, Chicago. I'm sure it's nice and chilly there as well. So,
been in
hope
the
you guys.
20s.
Wow.
Yeah, that's about what it's been here. Well, we've been kind of going up and down.
We've been fluctuating, that's for sure.
That's Colorado.
Yeah. So, appreciate you guys stopping by. What are some of the things in the garden that you're looking forward to for tea?
I think one of the ones that I'm looking forward to the most is probably chamomile, because I've never grown my own chamomile, however.
Chamomile, whatever you want to call it.
Do you mind grabbing that?
Yeah, absolutely.
So how long ago? Like 2 weeks?
It's been about 2 or 3 weeks, yeah.
So what I'm focusing on in the tea garden is things that will be useful for me and everybody else in the family. So chamomile is a really good base herb for a tea. What's nice about it is it doesn't have a really super strong flavor, so it's really good for mixing with other teas.
Mm-hmm.
But it's also an anti-inflammatory, and of course it calms anxiety. It has a whole bunch of other uses, but this sprouted so fast, and we have this in our
bay window in the front.
So it gets quite cold in there, and so it's amazing that it sprouted so fast and so well. So we're going to have a lot to transplant outside.
The reason we put it in the bay window too is that's where we actually get the most light. It's facing east, and when the sun comes up, it gets direct sunlight for, I'd say, good 6 hours at least.
Yeah, and it's really strong Colorado sunlight because we're
Yeah.
high altitude, so it gets really direct sunlight.
Yeah, it definitely beats down on you a lot more. That's for sure. So,
but this is one of the seeds that we've started this year because we're planting a lot of perennials, and this is one of the perennials. Thank you for holding that.
You're
for
welcome.
Me. What about you? What herb is there something that you?
I like the echinaceas, the coneflowers, just because I think they look really cool. Never Enough Time says I only have enough chamomile for maybe 2 more cups of tea. Gonna have to plant more this summer. You know, I was amazed that you could start these inside, how easily they were. We tried direct sowing it outside, and it didn't work.
But we had a cold snap too. I can't remember if we did it before or after the cold snap.
Well, there were 2 reasons why that didn't work. So yeah, we did have a cold snap that happened, but we were also direct sowing it in a very sandy and dry location. We have a corner garden bed. It's like a triangular. We call it the nacho chip. And before we amended it, which we did this year, before that, it was just a big sandy, loomy soil. And so I think it was really hard for those seeds to germinate. I think it just got too hot and too dry. Yeah, it's honestly that dry here. It's very much like a desert in the summertime. So,
well, we're almost classified as a desert.
Yeah, we're pretty much classified as a desert.
Which I would have never thought with the name Colorado Springs or being in Colorado that we would be a desert. But it's interesting to know because I've gardened only a couple different places, and it's interesting to see.
Interesting fact, and this will probably blow you guys away, especially from Ohio. I was obviously from Ohio. You need a lot of dehumidification out there. No, just the opposite here. We have humidifiers going like crazy. It is that dry.
Sparky.
If we touch each other, the spark is still there.
And that means we need to run the humidifier.
Yes, and we need to run that humidifier.
So we were already talking a little bit about lavender. And so this year we're actually growing 3 different types of lavender. Mm-hmm. We have 2 existing. One was here when we bought the house. That's just the general regular
typical lavender bush.
Yeah, common, they sometimes call it. Then we got one in the front that I think is called super blue lavender.
Yeah, it was like a really dark purple.
Yeah,
that's what I loved about it.
Yeah, and we got that late last year, kind of in the sale plants.
Yeah,
and then we planted it right before frost, and it looks like it survived. So we'll have to see.
I think it did pretty well. Yeah, it was one of those. It was August, and Lowe's had their 75% off. Nobody wants to buy me plants, and we went, we'll buy you.
But lavender is the one that I probably use the most right now, but I think that's because I use it for so many things. I use it for tea. I make room deodorizer out of it. I use it in the bathtub. I make sachets out of it. I mean, there's a lot of different things you can do.
Not to be mixed up with sachet type. Never Enough Time says chamomile is not a perennial, though, here in Chicago, but it does reseed everywhere. Try growing it inside if you can.
Oh, well, no, I think it naturally does that. It's like one of those ones that just reseeds each year.
Okay.
So it's not technically a perennial. It's
gotcha.
Yeah, it's called something else. I can't remember. But lavender is really good for anxiety. That's the first thing I think of whenever I think of lavender. I remember the first time when I worked at a natural food store in high school, I took home a bottle of lavender essential oil, and I accidentally left the cap open, and I ended up sleeping for like 17 hours or something crazy like that. When you're not used to lavender, it can be very potent.
Addicting.
Yes.
Yeah, we actually use lavender oil in our diffusers. Is that what they're called?
Yeah, diffusers.
And it's such a calming effect that goes throughout the house, which is awesome. So that's definitely a plant we're going to have for many, many years to come. I know it's a big favorite of yours. I know that.
It is.
Bees are just absolutely drawn to it. It makes an awesome, awesome tea. Boy, I actually had, there was a lady last year at our local garden center that was selling peach lavender jam. And when you first hear that, you think, okay, that's going to taste bitter and nasty. It was one of the best jams I've ever had.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And like you said, good for baths as well. One of the things that we're definitely going to be getting a bunch of this year, and I'll go ahead and show this,
lemon balm
is our lemon balm.
This actually ties to lavender too, in a weird way.
Well, tell us how.
Well, it ties for me because I'm going to make a tea.
Hi, Sunny's place.
Hola.
Hola.
But lemon balm is great. We grow this in our kitchen garden, meaning we have about 6 pots that we grow in the kitchen and pick off. We give it to the chickens a lot because it calms them down. But what I'm going to do, how it ties to lavender, is that I'm going to combine it with lavender this year. I've never tried lemon balm and lavender, but I've had lavender tea with lemon in it, and it was delicious. So I'm figuring out a way to use this. But we also make a tincture out of it for anxiety as well. And then there's a bunch of other things you can use it for, like it's an antiviral and can help make colds go away possibly a little bit faster, but also it just smells really good. It can be used in place of lemon, which is what we've been trying to do.
And it really, I mean, this was so easy to grow. This was another one that was seated inside under our grow lights that we have in our kitchen. We actually have a little herb section, herb garden in the kitchen with the lights directly on it. And I mean, it took a little bit to get it going, but after it got through that initial beginning, it just kept sprouting up, and we've been trimming it back, and it just keeps getting thicker and thicker.
Yeah.
So I think what we're going to do actually, most of what we have that's growing inside right now, we're going to actually transplant outside when it's warm enough, and then we're just going to start the whole process over again inside from seed and see what we can do. But this stuff we're probably going to end up putting in a barrel. If you haven't grown lemon balm before, I'll tell you right now, it's like a mint. It takes over. It is absolutely...
It's part of the mint family.
Yeah, it's part of the mint family. So, I mean, it's very aggressive when it starts growing in its prime, I guess you could say. So that is just some of the things we're going to be planting this year in the tea garden. The reason we want a tea garden, well, there's a couple of reasons. I just think it's really cool just to be able to go out in your own backyard, look at flowers, and have a use for them. I think there's so many times where we walk into people's backyards and they have flowers that are just sitting there because they look pretty, which, I mean, there's nothing wrong with that, but we like to have use for everything that's growing out there. So another reason we're looking forward to it is because if you go to these places that sell like the loose tea in the bags and whatnot, prices, guys, can get really up there.
Not only that, but it's kind of like fresh herbs. Like if you've only had herbs from the grocery store, and I'm meaning dried herbs from the grocery store, if you ever have fresh herbs that have been dried recently, the taste is so much different if you eat it within the first 3 months. It's just so much stronger, and I think it's the same way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So Sunny's Place commented, I need to learn more about tinctures. I planted my perennial herb garden last year and have some lemon balm and lavender and other fabulous herbs.
Oh.
It is addicting after a while, to be honest, Sunny's Place. I think it's also really great gifts, I think, for people. I mean,
I'll do a video on making a tincture later on because I'm probably about to make something of a tincture. But tinctures, they sound intimidating, but really they're not too bad. Yeah. So we'll make another video on it.
Yeah. And if you're cheap like we are when it comes to Christmas, you just basically get whatever's in your backyard and get some lovely herbs going. And there you go. Christmas is taken care of. So another thing I wanted to bring up to you guys, and this is a little bit off topic, but we will be starting probably at the beginning of April. We are getting 6 new chicks in the mail, and we're going to be starting a new series, basically Chick Starter's Guide for the Beginners. And we're going to be going through everything from planning out what you want to do to what you need to have before to when you get the chicks, what to feed them. I mean, just we're going to cover the whole gambit of things. So that is definitely one thing we're definitely looking forward to. So hope you guys will tune into that. And I wanted to go back to the echinacea.
Yeah. Oh, actually, here, let me pull it up here in my little book because I don't trust my memory. So we could talk about echinacea a little bit more because echinacea is one that is a very, very potent herb. It has all sorts of different uses for it, for wounds, anywhere from helping with your immune system, either before you're sick or while you're sick. But it has a very strong taste, like a very strong.
Oh yeah.
And the flower almost warns you about that because the flower is kind of aggressive in my. It's like has spikes coming out in the middle. It's pretty though. I still like it because it has uses and it's pretty.
Bees are drawn to it somehow.
Yeah, bees love it. But whenever you end up using it and you want to take in echinacea, usually you want to have it with something else or mix it with water.
Mm-hmm.
Or I like to mix it with honey.
We actually have a video. If you go back, we have a how to make echinacea tincture. Pretty simple, really.
I don't know if I posted that one.
You did.
I did? Okay, well, he knows.
Yes, you did. Memory. But a lot of these tinctures that you're talking about, I think it's a lot easier than people know because there's you hear the word tincture and you think, okay, you got to have like this big chemistry set of stuff going through all the bottles and stuff just to get. No, it basically it comes down to what. Alcohol of some kind.
Yeah, it's usually 100 proof alcohol, depending on the herbs. Some herbs you need to use a little bit less of a proof of alcohol, but I'll go over that. And so really it's, you just make sure the herbs are clean. You make sure they're really dry. And I know that's weird, but you want to make sure they're pretty dry before you put them in the tincture. Even I like to do it to avoid mold, put it in the dehydrator or leave it out to dry for a while.
Now what if they don't have a dehydrator? What's a good way to go about it?
You can try using if your oven goes low enough, you can try using like a warm function that goes to maybe like below 150, or you can just leave it out in a warm room, maybe in a sunny location to let it warm for a while. It's to avoid mold. Yeah. Because who wants mold? Yeah. It's not good for you.
No. Mold stinks. Literally stinks.
Yeah. My mind is blanking on the other herbs that we're growing back there.
Well, let's see. We were talking about California poppy, but that's not really for the tea garden.
No.
Another good one, if you want to try to grow it, it's not something we're growing, but just to kind of plant the bug in your head. Ginger. I mean, if you can get a ginger root at your store, there are ways that you can grow ginger and, dry that out. Use that in your tea. The tea that I just had, it was peach ginger tea, and I'm addicted to this stuff. Yeah, guys, it's a fruit tea, but real men drink tea, so like it or not, that's just the way it goes.
Oh, I remember some of the things we're forgetting for the garden. All the mints. Like there's a huge collection of mints that are really make the taste for a tea, especially because a lot of my teas are going to be medicinal. So I need some strong herbs to cover up some of those strong tastes.
So what are some of the herbs that you're wanting?
So, well, actually, I shouldn't say wanting because you've gotten me everything that I wanted, so I can't complain. But we're already growing mint and peppermint, and we have spearmint on the way.
Spearmint's coming.
Lemon balm is part of that family too.
Yep.
And there's another one part of that family that I can't remember that we're growing. That they're all, but we just kind of keep them together. We know they're going to get invasive, so we just don't put them in the ground. Yeah. We put them in containers, buckets, things like that.
I think we're doing, was it like those half barrel pots?
Yeah.
They're half barrels, but they're basically plastic. So, I mean, they're really
the size of a chamomile thing.
Yeah. I mean, they basically look about this size.
And I got them at the dollar store.
So, I mean, this is a great way.
That one's not from the dollar store, but it's the ones that we have are very similar to that.
But even if you just want to set this on top of the garden just so it doesn't go wild in the garden, that's a great way to do it too. Just adds a little bit more depth to it. You like spearmint more than peppermint, don't you?
Yeah, I really don't like peppermint. I detest the taste of peppermint for some reason. Like cilantro. Some people apparently have a gene for
They either
cilantro.
love it or they hate it.
Yeah, like apparently cilantro tastes like soap to some people, or like luckily for us, tastes
It's
glorious. Awesome. I love cilantro.
It's one of our favorite things in the world.
But I forgot my train of thought.
Spearmint peppermint.
Oh yeah, spearmint. But I just like spearmint, the taste of spearmint better.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted to kind of reach out to you guys and see if there's anything that you've ever grown in your garden for either a tea or something to put in liquid, maybe like a lemonade with mint in it or something like that. See if it's something that you guys have ever tried before.
We're also going to do more cold teas this year and sun teas. We're going to try doing a sun tea. Yeah. With I know lemon mom's going to be in it, but I don't know what else is going to be in it yet.
Mm-hmm.
But we're going to do a sun tea and then also more cold teas where we brew them hot, but then we.
So PH Homestead chimed in. I have peppermint in the raw. Okay, cool. That comes back every year, but it gets out of control. Yeah, see, there you go. It just gets so out of control, and you have to pull half of it up. Which, yeah, and I mean, doesn't that stink? Because you kind of feel like, well, what am I doing?
So your whole yard isn't peppermint.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. But you feel guilty because it's like, man, this is such a waste. But you don't want it to take over the entire garden.
Yeah. Some other things that we could add to teas are things that I didn't think of whenever I used to make teas growing up because I grew up vegetarian. It's ones that I never thought of, like just weren't in our repertoire, but using things like lime leaves. We have a lime tree that's growing right now, but we're having trouble growing limes because of our cats. That's a long story. But if you ever have to cut off a branch or something, then it's good to save those lime leaves, dry them out, and you can use them in teas or use them in baking. Anything. You can use it for anything.
Yeah. Kind of like lemongrass in a way. You still get that lime citrusy taste to it. Sunny's Place chimed in and said, I'm growing chocolate mint.
Ooh.
That, you know what? That sounds like a really good idea. Chocolate mint. I didn't even consider that. Peppermint herb garden. You love peppermint tea. See, that's what she is too. She is a peppermint tea person.
Well, spearmint tea.
Spearmint tea. Spearmint. Mint tea, basically. I'm the opposite. I like ginger and some kind of fruit or something like that in it.
Yeah.
It's got to taste like Kool-Aid. So, yeah, other than that, gosh, I wanted to see how you guys have been doing throughout all this weather. I mean, are you guys faring okay? I know Texas really got beat up. Upstate New York, you guys probably can still grill outside in this weather, I'm sure. And Chicago, pretty much the same. But wanted to see how everybody else did this week. We got super, super cold. We got down to negative 15 degrees. And one of our biggest concerns, obviously, were chickens outside. And I don't. If you haven't already, go ahead and check out our video. We actually did a video on it. They did really well in negative 15 degrees. I was shocked.
They had I noticed a few of the barred rocks because our barred rocks have a little bit more comb. They had a little bit, it looked like damage on the end of their
white
comb.
spots.
Yeah, but I'm hoping it will go away.
Well, I think it's a little bit of frostbite, just start of it.
But considering it got down to negative 15 and we didn't use a heat source, because,
Look what PH Homestead just said. I'm going to try.
Oh, catnip.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh, we're growing catnip right now.
We are growing catnip right now.
But it's really small. It's like in.
Should I get it?
Yeah, you can get it.
All right, I'm going to get it.
But catnip, everybody thinks that catnip is usually used just for cats. But the natural food store I worked at, that's where I found out that there's actual catnip teas that people drink. I've tried it. I didn't like the catnip tea straight. I'm a little bit of a picky tea drinker. I don't want a really medicinal taste or anything funky. I want it to taste nice. So I mix it with other things. So it's relaxing.
Yeah, we're actually starting a couple catnip. I think we got 3 of them that we started. We're actually
giving a couple away.
Yeah, we're giving a couple away just so people kind of can get an idea about it and what it does. And of course, they have cats as well.
Yeah, well, and we're going to use it for tea and for, we have one cat.
For cats.
One cat that really likes catnip.
Oh, you're at 13 and still grilling. Yeah. That's the way to do it. Yeah, I don't know when this cold is really supposed to start to ease up. I know we have in our area, we're supposed to get up to mid 50s actually next couple of days, which will hopefully melt a big majority of this. But then we got another cold snap coming our way, so that means it's going to be heading your guys' way, because normally what we get, you guys get a couple days later. So I'm hoping it's not too bad. There were a couple others that we started this year, and I don't know if this is really tea related, but what is the feverfew?
The feverfew. So upstairs we have seed trays, and they have quite a few seed trays. I can't remember how many there are, but we planted a bunch of them, and we're growing feverfew and yarrow for the first time this year, and two plants that I've never grown before compared to others that I have. And feverfew, the reason that I wanted to grow it is that I have a lot of headaches. I found out part of the reason for that's going to get fixed, but I have a feeling that headaches will always be a part of my life. Mm-hmm. So I wanted something more natural than, or in addition to prescription medications, whatever I need at that time.
Yeah. I just wanted to give a shout out to our good old buddy from Come On Homesteading. Come on. What's happening, man? Good to see you here. Everybody loves Come On.
I'm looking up yarrow now because I'm blanking.
But there's so many things that you can grow out in a garden that are flowers, basically. There are some people that look at a garden, edible garden, and go, I don't want to do that, and kind of just don't like the look of it. These are things that you could still grow out there and still pretty, and you could still have a good purpose for.
Oh, and that's a good point. If you have an HOA that only allows flowers and maybe not vegetables, then you could still have a medicinal herb garden in your front yard.
What's our view on HOA?
Yeah, well, we've been in a couple of HOAs that were a little strict.
We don't like HOA.
They're telling us how to garden. We don't like that.
Yeah.
Well, yarrow is made mostly for stemming bleeding, and actually can act as a bandage. Mm-hmm. Like I think Native Americans used or still use, and just wrap it around. Mm-hmm. And it's supposed to help stem the bleeding, which would be great, because in this house we have 3 clumsy people.
3?
Yeah, me and the kids.
There's 4 of us that live here.
I know, me and the kids.
Yeah, I know. I kind of count myself in.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
We get way more bruises than you do.
So, Come On's with me on that. No HOA.
Yeah.
No HOA. HOA bad.
Yeah.
We call them the house Nazis, basically.
Well, maybe you could talk about one of the things that you do for starting seedlings that makes life a little bit easier by making it in a self-watering.
So basically, when I get these going, especially any type of mint plants, or any plant really, I start off with these red Dixie cups, and obviously you do your holes in the bottom. Do one red cup in the bottom that doesn't have any holes, and what I do is I put a pebble, kind of a thicker pebble down there to kind of hold that water in. And when I put the dirt in, what I do is I kind of make a little bit of a circle, like a little divot in there, almost looks like a crater in a way. And I gently put that seed in, and what you're going to do is just kind of fold that dirt on top of it. And it doesn't take a lot, guys. Mint seeds are microscopic, it seems like. So really not even a 1/4 inch of dirt you need to or growing.
We didn't even cover some of ours.
Yeah.
Growing.
Well, what I do is after I get everything sown in there, watered in and everything, I take plastic wrap and I put it over there, get a rubber band and tie that around, and I put it in a warm spot for, I would say, about 5 to 7 days. Okay, so 5 to 7 days, and you'll usually start to see your sprouts come up. Once they get to the top of that cup, where that saran wrap is, and it starts touching the top, like you can see this one just kind of overhanging a little bit now, go ahead and take that saran wrap off, and find a sunny spot. Just make sure that obviously you want to make sure it's well watered. Don't overwater it. That's going to kill that really quick.
But this kind of will, to an extent, know how much water it needs.
The nice thing about this is you could fill this on the bottom, okay, full of water. You got your rock down there. You set this one in here. And what's going to do is it's going to wick that water up inside of there. And you guys have probably seen this or probably have it on your seed trays. But wiki.
I had to do that.
But it's just kind of a cool, DIY way of doing yourself wicking pots in the beginning. And
seedlings.
We buy tons of these at the beginning of the season. I do my
And
tomatoes
reuse
in
them.
here. I do my peppers in here. Everything.
Mm-hmm.
So let's see who else we got in here. Vineyard Chicks, how you doing? I've seen you guys quite a few times. We prefer our Barn Owners Association is run by the goats and chickens. Yes, that is what I'm saying. We like that. We don't have any goats. I don't know if we'll ever get goats or not, just because we're in a suburb area. So,
well, we'll have to see in the future when we move to our eventual retirement.
We're technically urban homesteaders, but we're definitely trying to get to a point in life where we can get a little bit more land and a little bit more freedom to do what we want to do.
And not landlocked. Near water would be great.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Near water.
Yeah. Too bad Adrian's not on here. She's Oregon, but that's kind of where we want to go, is Oregon area. I think she's kind of more desert area of Oregon.
But it does make it interesting to garden in different places, because it's such a vast difference. I've gardened in Florida and then Alaska and then here. And I've lived a couple other places too that I didn't garden there. Well, Washington State I gardened too. But I would say Colorado, surprisingly, is one of the hardest ones, and even harder than Alaska. Because with Alaska, even I lived in Anchorage, even Alaska, we would get almost 24 hours of sunlight for about 3 months.
Right.
So
you get a 3-month growing season, but you get 24 hours a day, 3 months of direct light, which is great. I would kill for that.
Well, and they're very similar to here, that they have late frosts sometimes even into June.
Yeah.
And that's one thing that killed our, like half our plants last year was early, well, I guess it would be a late frost.
We had an early frost in September.
Oh, yeah.
And we had, if you guys have ever heard of cucamelons, they're kind of like, they call them sour gherkin melons. They basically look like a real tiny watermelon. It looks like a watermelon for a mouse, basically.
It's a cross between watermelons and cucumbers. So it's little baby watermelons that you can eat the skin, and it tastes like cucumbers. And I love them. And
I mean, these things take a while to get going. They really do. So we got them out there, and we were waiting, and then finally these things started to just climb up the trellis, and they were looking really
we're
awesome.
Gonna get like over 100 of them.
And we were starting to pick a couple off, and they were decent size, and it was really starting to climb tall. Just as that happened, it was early September, wasn't it? Early September, we had a cold front come through, and I mean, it got down to,
I can't remember. It was like below freezing.
Yeah, it was below freezing in September. So I mean, it just killed all of our lovely hard work off early, which is
it did.
Nice and heartbreaking, that's for sure.
Yeah.
So PH Homestead said they are so good. Those,
And Vineyard Chicks said, hello.
Hello, Vineyard Chicks. Yes. So we are definitely going to be doing more of those, I think, this year. The cucamelons. Those are awesome. They're also good. I want to try pickling those things.
Yeah.
Everybody told me those things are great for pickling. So I guess while we're at it, why don't we just kind of talk about everything we got going out there right now?
Okay. Sounds good.
We got 3 types of tomatoes going out there this year. So last year we had San Marzanos. We ended up doing...
And those were excellent.
Yeah, they turned out great.
And
they turned out way better than I thought.
They turned out, considering everything organic, no bugs. They're beautiful red. I mean, they could... Yeah, they were... delicious.
They were flourishing.
The best tomatoes I've ever had.
I was going out there probably every other day for about 10 minutes at a time, just picking off suckers off the tomatoes, because that's how fast they were growing. But I think we had 8 of those last year. About 8 of those. I think we're going to scale back to 4 this year, just because we're also going to be doing the Apalka tomatoes. Those of you that saw our corny seed draft video, the
I
Apolka
like that video.
tomato. Yeah.
That's like my favorite video you've done. I love your voice.
Yeah.
And yeah, be nice to
I do.
yourself.
I do voices, guys. Sorry.
Oh, he does amazing voices.
So we got the Apolkas going out there, and then we also have the Amish paste ones going out there. I just like tomatoes that we can use for sauces, salsas, and whatnot. I'm not much of a slicing tomato guy, to be honest. I just never really gotten into it. I didn't think they were the greatest thing on earth. I just love the tomatoes that don't have a lot of seeds and just mainly pulp that's in there. And yeah.
Vineyard Chicks has used them, so she knows. Yeah, they're perfect.
Oh yeah, they were great. And
considering they grow that well here, I can only imagine somewhere where it's a little bit.
Well, and here's the funny part,
more
guys.
hospitable.
So last year was actually the very first year I was able to really grow tomatoes, like a decent amount of tomatoes. And we ended up with, I'm wanting to say 8 mason jars.
No, we had more than that. I would say more like, because we were using them at the same time. I'd say like 12.
About 12 mason jars full of those San Marzanos. And we canned them. They were probably gone by, what, December?
Yeah. No, maybe November. I mean, we used them so fast.
I mean, you want to talk about,
because they're delicious.
You want to talk about something you're going to use a lot of, especially those
spaghetti
of you,
sauce.
If you guys are into canning and whatnot. I mean, I can see why my grandparents, I can remember they had a wall stacked full of canned tomatoes. I totally get it now. Why?
Yeah, we're going to do it because we make pizza just about every week, homemade pizza.
Homemade
and
pizza.
Sauce is just...
I'm a sucker for salsa. I absolutely love it. We actually just went out and got our seeds for, we're not super hot salsa people, so I think for the peppers and that this year we're going to do banana peppers, which is, I know, it's not exactly the hottest thing in the world, but I just think it complements it really well.
And then we're doing honey nut squash, not butternut squash.
Honey nut squash.
But the little baby ones.
I'm so excited about those. They
taste good, and they're like individual size.
Yeah, and they're like a darker orange than
and
a butternut.
Taste better. Apparently, we've never tried them. We're just gonna grow them because that's how we do things.
Got our pumpkin bed all put together on the side.
We're gonna try the Three Sisters way in the pumpkin bed for the first time.
I don't know if any of you guys have ever done Three Sisters or anything. If you have, comment below because I'm really curious to see how it worked out for you. But we're gonna do that this year, and most of our corn. Beans are gonna be in big abundance this year. I guarantee you.
The chickens will be sick of them.
Yeah, the chickens. Yeah. I feel so bad for the chickens. I mean,
why?
they've had no greens really out in all this.
Oh my gosh,
stuff.
Our chickens are really well treated. Just remember,
I spoil my girls, guys.
Chickens
really
normally never step on the ground or see the light of day.
Yeah, that's a good.
Majority of chickens, so already ours, they're doing good.
What was that one we were watching yesterday where it was like 3 chickens in one little area where they
we were watching Napoleon.
Oh, it was Napoleon Dynamite.
We were like, wow, this is weird. Oh, and we even knew what type they were.
Yeah.
All the white chickens.
Yeah, they were Leghorns.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, because the chickens have large talons. Tina, get some dinner. Fat lard. Gosh. Okay. Boy, I went on a rabbit hole, didn't I? Where were we at? We were at Honey Nut. Okay, so we got the honey nut, and then we're still doing the pie pumpkins, the sugar pie pumpkins this year. That I'm really looking forward to because I love pumpkin pie. The only thing I love better than pumpkin pie is sweet potato pie.
Yes, and we're going to try to grow that.
We're definitely doing that this year too. PH Homestead weighed in. Amish paste, sweet aroma cherry, black creme, and a bunch of other tomatoes.
35 plants.
Wow.
Oh,
good on you.
Now
that is awesome.
Is a tomato liver.
Yep.
I'm almost thinking we might need to increase our number of tomatoes.
Well, see, here's our issue. We got 2 4x8 garden beds that are, one of them is going to be loaded with just tomatoes. We're going to try to pack 10 tomato plants in a 4x8. I think we can do it. Pretty sure we can. But the other 4x8 that we have, we're going to be doing the glass gem corn, which is the ornamental corn where it's just multicolored. I mean,
and the potatoes.
And the potatoes, yeah.
Mhm.
And then we got green beans that are going to be lining that.
Mm-hmm. I think
The
snap
Walla Walla
peas.
onions.
Yeah, Walla Wallas. Yeah, we have a lot of good things this year.
Yeah.
I'm most excited about the cucamelons again. I loved them. Also excited that our raspberry plant is a little bit older this year, so we should get more than 3 berries.
Yeah, we got a couple raspberry bushes that should produce pretty well this year.
And
we have strawberries out there that are probably going to produce a little bit more this year.
And this year I'm going to use the raspberry leaves for plants as well. Because plants, oh my gosh, for teas as well.
I know what you meant.
Yeah, well, they might not.
Yeah.
He knows Christa E's.
I speak Christa E's, so.
But yeah.
Yeah. We're excited, guys. That's all I got for today.
Yeah.
How about you?
Me too.
So, guys, again,
thank you for stopping by.
We appreciate you stopping by. Check us out, especially in April. That's when we're going to start doing the complete guide to raising chicks. Vineyard chicks, it's going to be like a walk in the park for you guys. I'm sure you could do that with your eyes closed. But yeah, we're going to be doing a video, complete guide for brand new chicken caretakers and everything that needs to go into consideration. Everything from setting everything up to getting your brooder ready to making sure you have a coop before anything. And we're actually going to do a couple episodes where we pick up our chicks. And we're going to be doing that at a really cool homestead supply store here in Colorado Springs. And these guys are fantastic. They have everything from chick-related stuff to beekeeping equipment to worm composting to, I mean, just you name it. These guys are fantastic. But I won't get too much into it. That's coming down the road. So in the meantime, guys, thanks for joining us. We really appreciate it. And,
have a wonderful Sunday.
We'll see you 2 Sundays from now. Not next Sunday, but the following Sunday. So take care, guys.